During Thanksgiving dinner, my family mocked my small business. "How's that going? Still broke yet?" They sneered, erupting in laughter. I stayed silent, offering a faint smile, while their cruel, piercing laughter echoed in my ears. The table, crowded with turkey, flickering candles, and the distant hum of football from the living room, should have felt warm and familiar. Instead, it was a harsh, chilly spotlight. My cousin Sarah snorted so loudly she nearly toppled her wine glass as I spoke to Uncle David about my business, into which I'd poured every hour, cent, and ounce of myself. "How's your little venture going?" she taunted, venom dripping from her words. "Still broke?" Another voice chimed in. I didn't look to see who. My father let out a pitying chuckle. My mother shook her head, and I said nothing, letting them revel in their mockery. Something shifted inside me. I wasn't driven to disprove them. I needed to prove myself right, not for them, but for me. I would succeed, not despite them, but because I had to. After dinner, I stood in the kitchen, scraping leftovers into a container, their laughter mingling with football cheers from the living room. My brother Michael crowed about how I'd probably sold 3 t-shirts in a year. Maybe next year he'll afford real mashed potatoes. He jeered, sparking another round of laughter. I bowed my head, but then overheard a conversation through the half-open den door. Aunt Margaret murmured, "Poor kid," with feigned concern, still chasing rainbows. My father grunted. If he had sense, he'd quit that fantasy and get a real job. Wendy's is always hiring. They laughed. By 30, he'll still be in some dingy apartment, dreaming of his big break, Uncle David added. The worst came from my mother, kind and loving, who said, "Well, at least he's harmless. It's not like he'll ever succeed enough to embarrass us." My hands trembled around a plate I hadn't realized I was holding. They didn't just doubt me, they needed me to fail, to stay the dreamer who never amounted to anything, making their own mediocre lives feel safer. Without a word, I set the dish in the sink, grabbed my jacket, and left. The cold air stung my face, but one thought burned: never again. I'd never seek their approval or justify myself to those rooting for my failure. That night, alone in my drafty apartment, I opened my laptop and stared at the screen. I could let their doubt crush me or forge me into something unstoppable. I refined my business plan, set audacious goals, and worked relentlessly. The first 6 months were grueling, typing, packing, hustling in a 1-bedroom with rattling pipes and barely functioning heat. I woke before dawn, slept past midnight, with no investors or loans, just me, a second-hand printer, a half-broken laptop, and stubborn defiance. Some mornings, surrounded by coffee cups and bills, I doubted myself. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was chasing rainbows. Then I'd hear my mother's voice, "At least he's harmless," and the fire reignited. The turning point came unexpectedly. A random online order, a forgotten customer, and a social media tag praising my work. It wasn't viral, but it sparked 12 orders the next day, then 24, then 60. I scrambled for supplies, updated my website, and felt real momentum. Strangers, not family, believed in me, sending notes like, "You're doing something special. Keep going." Their kindness outshone my family's cruelty. Amid the orders and late nights, I realized family isn't blood, it's loyalty, respect, and unconditional support. The weight of seeking their approval began to lift, and my path grew clear. On a rainy Tuesday, bent over packing orders, I received an email titled "Opportunity." Nearly deleting it as spam, I opened it to find Caroline Walters, a boutique owner with a national chain, wanting to collaborate after seeing my product via that customer's post. She loved my branding, quality, and story, offering to feature my entire line if I could scale up. I replied in 5 minutes, and her enthusiastic call confirmed it was real. "It's just me," I admitted. She laughed, not mockingly, but with admiration. "That's even better. People love authenticity." By week's end, I'd partnered with a fulfillment company. By month's end, I closed a 6-figure deal. Standing in my tiny kitchen, rain pattering the window, I whispered to the empty room, "You were wrong about me." The next year blurred with contracts, sleepless nights, and growth. My mocked business became a real company, with employees, investors, and momentum. Wiring 6 figures into my savings felt expected, not surprising. Yet, I didn't feel vindicated or triumphant, just free. I didn't want revenge. I wanted closure. Instead of flaunting my success, I let them come to me. I bought a mansion on a hill, its marble floors gleaming, expansive windows capturing sunsets. My cousins once mocked I'd never afford more than a used Honda, so I filled the garage with a sleek Maserati, a custom Jeep, and a vintage Mustang, not for show, but because I could. I stayed quiet, posting no selfies or champagne toasts. 2 months ago, I sent a group text, family gathering Sunday. Big news to share. Curiosity drew them all. They arrived, expecting the loser they pitied, unaware the news was my new life, built without them. That Sunday, the sky was clear, the air crisp. I wandered my mansion, adjusting vases, as caterers set a lavish garden buffet with silver cutlery and chilled champagne. Sarah arrived first, stepping from her dusty minivan, fake sunglasses slipping as she gaped at the mansion. One by one they spilled into the driveway, faces a mix of confusion and disbelief. Uncle David muttered, trying to seem unfazed. Michael hummed nervously. My mother clutched her purse like a shield. Sarah laughed, brittle and loud. "You renting this or something?" "Bought it last month," I replied. Her jaw dropped. They entered cautiously, like museum visitors, marveling at the marble floors and chandeliers. "This is nice," Aunt Margaret stammered. "We always knew you had potential," Uncle David lied, patting my back. I nodded, letting them twist their narratives. Caterers served exquisite hors d'oeuvre, smoked salmon, beef Wellingtons, delicate tartlets. They laughed too loudly, praising the decor, but their darting eyes betrayed their struggle to reconcile this with their assumptions. Michael pulled me aside, grinning. "Seriously, how'd you swing this? Crypto or something?" "I built it," I said. "My company, my brand, everything." He blinked, his weak laugh fading. I glanced at my watch and stepped to the room's center, raising a glass not for a toast, but for closure. Silence fell, all eyes on me. "Thank you for coming," I said calmly. "I'm not here to brag or show off. I owe you something." They leaned in, perhaps expecting a share of my success. I smiled coldly. "I owe you a thank you. Without your insults, mockery, and bets against me, none of this would exist." Confusion spread. "I'm grateful for every doubt, every laugh, because you taught me real family isn't blood. It's loyalty, respect, standing by someone with nothing to gain. Today isn't just a celebration of what I built. It's a farewell. I'm cutting ties," I said softly. "After today, I'm no longer part of this family." Silence, then chaos. "We're family," Aunt Margaret cried. "You can't be serious," Sarah stammered. Michael stepped forward. "Don't be dramatic." My mother, pale, said nothing. I smiled. "Free. I wish you the best, and I hope you realize what you lost." I turned and walked away, their frantic pleas fading. "Wait, please, we didn't mean it." Past the marble, chandeliers, and everything that once hurt me, I reached the front door and closed it with a heavy thud, ending that chapter. Outside, the breeze was cool, the driveway glowing in the sunset. I stood in the quiet, feeling no guilt or doubt. My old life begging for scraps of love, chasing approval, was gone. The silence wasn't empty. It was freedom. I owed them nothing, no explanations, no apologies. They'd made their choices. Now I'd made mine. I wasn't running or proving anything. I simply moved forward without them. Months later, I've never looked back. Their angry messages, guilt trips, and excuses stopped. I didn't reply. My family laughed at my business over dinner, so I built an empire. When I shut the door, they begged me to return. I invited them to my mansion, and what I said left them in stunned silence. I was finally free.